You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Welcome back. Nice to have you here up north on this Monday morning, July 7th, 2025. A very special day, as we're going to find out in just a bit when we check in with John and Gordy down at our Civic Media station in Madison. Parker Olson's over in Madison Studio A2. If you missed us last hour, you can always subscribe to the show as a podcast. Head over to Spotify or Apple and catch some back episodes over on the Civic Media Radio Network at civicmedia.us on the website. Don't forget, Thursday, we'll have Congressman Mark Bocan joining the show as well. But right now, it's time to get to meteorologist Brittany Merlot to find out more about the forecast. And Brittany from Robin Tigerton, he says, with the very warm and humid weather Saturday, I'm surprised we didn't get more of a major severe weather outbreak. And I know it's been a while since we've talked, but, you know, middle to late last week, I mean, we got 3.5 inches of rain up here in Chippewa Falls over the course of 48 hours or something like that. So nobody's talking droughts, but I know John and Gordy are going to talk a bit about mosquitoes. So you didn't get severe weather, but you got critters instead, right?
Oh, they are out in abundance. The mosquitoes, the ticks, the black flies, the no-see-ums. Oh, goodness. Yes, a lot of us are scratching this morning from all of that this weekend, but a beautiful week ahead, honestly. A high-pressure system settles in today. We've got plenty of sunshine, comfortable temperatures this morning. We're in the low 50s far north to low 70s far south in the state today, and highs statewide climb to the upper 70s. We are looking at warmer temperatures in the mid 80s far southwest in the state today, and upper 60s if you're by the Great Lakes. So some free AC still staying cool over there. And we've got a low pressure system on the way tomorrow. So it is going to bring chances of maybe some scattered showers late tonight, overnight. A few of those could linger early tomorrow morning. We get a little break, and then a few thunderstorms do want to spark up tomorrow afternoon. Now, none of those are looking strong to severe. They don't even pack that much rainfall with them either. So that's all good news because, you know, the flooding was a concern, obviously, down south. And then obviously last week here for us, the Mississippi River is actually in an action stage for a lot of points. So those rivers are still rushing. They're still up there. But thankfully, we get a little bit of a break, quite a break, because honestly, the only chances for rain this week are tomorrow and then late Friday and into Saturday.
I know about the rivers running a little high. The Chippewa was last week after all that rain, so I couldn't take the boat out Thursday till after I'd done the lake owners Rubik's Cube game of putting your dock back together. Because the sections were like tied on, but they weren't like zip tied down, so they were all kind of like free floating, for a time, and then came back down. So you have to put your dock back together before you can get out on the water. But then you finally can. Rob says, "I've got my deep woods off with me at all times," so that's good. And on the text line, Tom in Hartford just simply put, "Yay, Brittany's back. We missed you."
Thank you. I missed you too.
Same sentiment over here as well. Thank you so much, Brittany. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. John and Gordy are here as well from our Civic Media Station Studio A1 out there, including birthday boy Gordy. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Made it around the sun another year, yes.
I know. Yeah. And I think it was Alicia on YouTube puts July is the best month to have a birthday. I can confirm. Yep.
That's right. Your birthday was
last Thursday as well. So
and John's birthday is next Monday.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of old men still getting it done, I was at Summerfest on Friday, and I saw Chicago. Now we didn't go for particular bands. We just knew we could go on the 4th of July. Which, by the way, when Chicago sings Saturday in the Park, I think it was the 4th of July. Yeah, I mean that's a built-in applause line right there. Right? They really got to cheer for that. But those three original members of Chicago are like 77, 78, and 79 years old. Still getting it done, playing the horns and
they're all roadies. The original band is gone. No, I'm
None
just
of them
kidding.
have roadies. No, it's the keyboard player and two of the horn players.
And
Oh,
two of the
right.
horn
You know
players.
that?
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And the lead singer is like their fourth lead singer,
Wow.
Peter Cetera being the first, but he's 69 and still getting it done.
Yikes.
Yeah. He got it done. Meanwhile, on another stage, it wasn't Hall & Oates. It was just Oates. It was John Oates. And we didn't stick around.
Still
In fact,
sowing his oats. So.
a lot of people did not stick around for that.
Oh,
John-
really?
Yeah.
Did-
yeah.
So
Well,
you
he went.
saw
he-
part of the show? Or?
we saw he kicked off with a Hall & Oates song, but again, you could see why it was Daryl Hall who did the singing by and large, and it was
Yeah.
kind of a half-hearted thing. And then, according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel review afterwards, because we didn't stick around that long,
Yeah.
it was nearly an hour before he played the next Hall & Oates song. It was all stuff off my new album, which is what everybody wants to
Oh,
hear somebody say that you've been
that's-
listening to for 40 years or more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Hall & Oates maybe 15 years ago, and it was,
Did you say they had a fist fight on stage?
no, they didn't have a fist fight, but they never looked at each other. They didn't talk to each
Yeah.
other. They didn't interact with and they were on the opposite sides of the stage from each other. You felt that. You felt like, okay, these guys don't really like each other, but they played all their hits, and it was okay. But it wasn't a great show. It wasn't an exciting show, but yeah, I felt I don't know. I just felt like there was something
They
missing.
cashed
there.
the check. They cashed the
That's it.
check, and it was all good. Did you do anything over the weekend for your birthday? Or are you doing anything today?
My big highlight of the day is I'm going to be mowing the lawn. That's it. That's
Wow.
it's a perfect day for that. Low
Live-
humidity, not too bad temperature wise. No, I don't really have anything planned. I saw my daughter yesterday and she wished me a happy birthday. My son who lives in Indiana, I expect he'll call at some point, but that's pretty low key birthday, I think, this year. I
John,
don't have much planned.
Well, I
Unless-
think-
Tell me you've got something more exciting planned, John. Anything?
I think it
he
comes-
might have some
it
surprise
comes with
for me.
age.
I don't
think
know.
we want that low key birthday. we don't want a big celebration of how much older we are.
I mean, that is true. There was no party this year, but my wife remembered. She knows one of my favorite things is ice cream cake. And so,
yes,
so we have
yes.
been nibbling at that for like pretty much
Yeah.
every. I can guarantee you that I am 48 minutes away from the next slice of ice cream cake. It's not just for breakfast, kids, but it's a good breakfast.
What
you know?
is it about? Yeah, I love ice cream cake too. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
best kind of cake ever, even with a little whipped cream in it too,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, like it very much.
Yeah.
John, meanwhile, while you wait for your birthday, you mentioned shopping for EVs. Is that like your birthday present to yourself?
I'm beginning to think, and we got a lot of hybrid cars recently in used cars, and it's wonderful. They're great, but they're really getting old. They don't have all the recent technology,
Yeah.
stopping because of a car stopped in front of you or something like that, some kind of notification. I want something new. I want something EV-ish. And I read a story I get an email, Midwest Energy News,
Oh yeah,
and that's where I got the cow news, with
from
the
last week,
solar
the
panels
solar
from
panels.
Shade.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we milked that story a couple of days last week as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got a gallon, right?
Yep.
So anyway, I read a story on there saying that if you're in the used car market, what you should do is look for used EVs because they are lower priced than gas vehicles out there. So I thought, well, I'm going to check it out. And I went to my favorite app, and that's Car Gurus. They're really great for used cars because you can pick between, dealerships or individuals selling cars or both. And I looked at a whole bunch of them, and they're really low priced. But the thing is, the rebates for these EVs are coming to an end, and they're coming to an end, I believe, at the end of September.
Oh yeah, the
it's
Trump
$4,000.
administration can't get rid of those
Yeah.
fast enough. With their deal that they made with the oil companies and everything else. So yeah, if you want those rebates, you got to move soon. And I know we got a hybrid just about 2 years ago now, and like it very much. I can't see us going back to anything other than a hybrid or an EV after this.
Yeah, I was thinking for the hybrid as well. I thought that's the best idea so far. But I also saw a video where a guy was criticizing it because the hybrids have to drag around these engines, the different
Yeah.
engines, and it would, lower the quality of the engine and the fuel economy. But here's the thing: the EVs, if you get a new EV, that tax credit, $7,500, goes away September 30th. And if you get a used car, it's a $4,000 credit. And on Car Gurus, it's already deducted from the price of these EVs. And they're really good. I mean, under $20,000. And you get this high-tech thing from 2023, 2022. So it's actually a pretty darn good deal. I recommend that as the app to use.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I am on my third Jeep Wrangler over the years, and I love it. But I'm now getting to an age where I've told Sherry that, whenever this thing is done, and it won't be done anytime soon, but I said my next one is going to be, I'm putting my Tuckus in like a Buick or a Cadillac, something soft, something solid, because like I said, I love it, but I'm ready. And I'll never forget about 15, 20 years ago when we had to rent a car someplace, probably visiting one of the daughters. I don't know. And they put us in a Cadillac. Like, I didn't ask for a Cadillac. I don't want to be in this. This is an old person's car. By the end of the week,
yeah, you loved it.
I was so sold. I'm like, now I can't wait to get old because I'm going to get one of these babies. So
was it an SUV? Is that
no? It was just whatever it was at the time, one of their current models, which is all fine and good, but I don't know. I have to. It means I'm thinking again about, like I said, the birthday from last week, and I'm talking about Cadillacs, and I'm not sure. Alicia, who had her birthday, says I'm still nibbling on my German chocolate cake that my kids got me for my birthday on Wednesday. Well, Alicia, we are so in sync on that because ice cream cake's my favorite, but if it's going to be cake, it's got to be German chocolate.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. What did she say here? They couldn't find a 4 for being 41, so they used a 3 and took 10 years off for me.
Wow.
That was nice. Or they're lying, they're putting the wrong age.
That's quite the present.
Cake, Yeah, that's it. It's feeling a little bit younger that way. So you haven't pulled the trigger on the EV yet, or are you still shopping?
I'm thinking. I haven't pulled the trigger, and I picked out a few favorites. They have all-wheel drive, or front-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive. You have to think about all those things, but you get all that technology that, if a car stops in front of you, your vehicle slows down or stops. I love that stuff.
But with these things so much more computerized, I worry about like planned obsolescence. Like at some point you're going to be in the middle of a drive and you're going to be like, sorry, Windows 10 is no longer supported in this vehicle. They won't update the batteries or whatever the case may be. It's like,
well, yeah, Apple has their app, and then there's Android that they have their app on these radios that you get in these cars now. But yeah, there's going to be a new app, and we won't be able to install it on our very expensive EV platforms. And so, we'll be looking for a new vehicle. And by the way, if you want to replace like a radio, remember in the old cars, you could just replace the radio with a high-tech radio. Well, you can't do it with these big screens that pop up now.
Oh, those big screens. I mean, I'm almost intimidated because again, you get any little problem with it, you got to replace that whole thing. It's, it's like having a big screen TV in your car. Again, it's nice until something goes wrong. And then you got a whole lot of nothing going on.
Well, that's what we tell people when they're driving to work, always watch us on the TV. They have it in their car and listen Bluetooth through their radio.
We're as high tech as it gets for morning radio here. Talking to John and Gordy, a local updates next for some of you. Otherwise, we're right back here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitler from Up North News. Sign up for those newsletters, upnorthnewswi.com. Back in a bit.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Hey, be sure you're following Up North News on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Just look up North News WI for more. We're talking with John and Gordy from our Civic Media station in Madison. I jumped right into what I did for Summerfest and didn't ask if either of you or both of you did anything fun on the 4th. It sounds like swatting mosquitoes was the main thing you did.
that was the highlight. Yeah.
Well, that was my highlight.
Seems like there are a lot of them around Madison.
And there are an awful lot of gnats. That gets in the way too. You don't have any of that stuff up there. I'm moving to your area.
No. We have them some years. I mean, last year was terrible for, what do they call them? The no-see-ums and the gnats, the little critters.
Yes.
Not so much the mosquitoes themselves. But I also, as Parker likes to tease me, I don't touch grass a lot. I spend a lot of time indoors. And Sherry eventually has to push me outside and say, go play for a while. You can't just sit here at your desk all day long or watching Brewers games on TV. So I'm not as exposed to the elements and the mosquitoes as, a normal person would be. So, but did you have anything else fun on the 4th worth sharing, or was it more of a relaxing weekend?
It was more relaxing and staying indoors because of the mosquitoes outdoors. It was dangerous. It was just dangerous. But I had to take the dog out and play with her for a while, and became almost unnerving for me. So I stayed in.
Yeah, I didn't do too much either. I went up to nearby Rock Springs, which is, if you know this area, it's between Baraboo and Reedsburg. It's about an hour north of here, and I go up there about once a month to get spring water. They have a spring-fed water area there, and people come from all over. I mean, people come from hours away, several hours away, to get this water. And my family's been doing that for many years, and I'm continuing the tradition. So I take a couple of 5-gallon jugs up there and fill them up and come back in about a month. It's all free. And
can you really taste the PFAS now compared to the old days before all those industrial chemicals were everywhere?
Are
no
you sure
PFAS
there's
in
no
this?
PFAS in it?
I think it's run by a water company, and I don't know which one. But the town actually owns the free part of it. Anyway, they do test it all the time. But
that's
great. People have tried it and they love the water.
It tastes so
Isn't that
good.
strange?
Yeah,
and you can tell the difference. And a lot of people are like, oh, water's water. Oh, no. We got the good stuff here in some places, and you always want to be tapping into that. I cannot recall what I was listening to over the weekend, but I was really impressed with a national announcer who, when he said Wisconsin, he actually said Wisconsin. It seems so often that outside of this state, people think that we spell our state name W-E-S. I hear Wisconsin all the time. I'm like, it's not Wisconsin, And yes, I mean, some of us internally, Wisconsin, we get a little nasally at times, but we have John challenging pronunciations here in our
we
state.
do.
What do you got?
I found this in an email, local email from a woman who used to do farm reports in the morning. Okay. And she would have to say all these different cities and towns around the radio station in her farm report, but she mispronounced so many of them, and there was no one around at 4 or 5 in the morning to ask, how do you pronounce this?
Sure.
So she became very frustrated and took it out on the web. What she did was she created a website. It's called mispronouncer.com.
Yes. Love that site.
It's incredible. It really is. Has all the towns in Wisconsin listed. All you have to do is hover your mouse over it, click on it, and it tells you what the pronunciation is.
Wow.
And I don't know if
you got any samples.
I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see if you can hear this over the over my laptop here. Listen.
Crank it up.
Millador.
Yes. Yep.
Millador.
Or Junction City. And how about this?
Auburndale.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
And it tells you all of this stuff. Isn't this incredible? What a beautiful map.
And I am embarrassed to say that I know the woman who created it, and I cannot come up with her name off the top of my head here. But she worked as a reporter in Wisconsin for some time, and she went through the same thing that a lot of us go through as beginning reporters. And then when you try to help the next generation and you forget to help them with something, that's how you get Mukwanago instead of Mukwanago.
Right.
Wabasha instead of Wabasha. And of course, my own personal favorite from the when anybody new tries to pronounce the Lacoudere area, and it comes out as Lac-Court Orioles. I'm like, it's not a baseball team. All right. It's an entirely different pronunciation over there.
I know we had Busted Pencils. Tim was saying Antigua.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not the Caribbean island. No, it's Antigo. Yes.
And there used to be an AT&T commercial way long ago. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, where they said Akanakamoak.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And,
they will never live that down.
And lest you think that this doesn't happen anymore, I listen to Brewers games sometimes over the MLB app. And especially if I'm driving and I was in between two Civic Media markets, or I would have listened on my local Civic Media station. But anyway, I was listening on the app, and they override the commercials with some that they sell themselves, obviously. Mm-hmm. And one of them that played every break was for Verizon and your local Verizon store. And I can't tell you how much every commercial break, my skin would crawl when they go, and in Eau Claire, see the Verizon store at such and such. I'm like, you, Claire, who greenlights these things, you know?
I know.
But every time you get the new reporters, you've got new jocks that come in, and it's part of the onboarding. And if it's not, you learn the hard way. Like, I really should have told them it's not you, Claire. But
Well, my first job was in Waupun, and I was doing that farm report. I was watching the tape machines at night, and I would do the farm report in the morning. I did not know any of the towns. I guess we're getting the cutoff time
trial by fire. Yep, live and learn. John and Gordy, thanks for staying over. Appreciate it. Always great to talk to you guys. Have a good start to the week.
Pat.
All right, we'll talk to you a little bit later on, and we'll keep things rolling here live from Lake Wissota in just a bit here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. That's Kreitlow. If you go there, it's not Kreitlow. Mispronouncer doesn't have that one. I suppose I should have used my little disclaimer that I could be wrong when I give an opinion on something. In this case, it's about John Oates of Hall & Oates on the text line from Carmela in Milwaukee. Pat, I disagree with you regarding John Oates. I was pleasantly surprised by his solo performance. It had a blues R&B vibe, very mellow. It was nice. She also notes, I couldn't get close to Chicago in the BMO Pavilion, so we sat next to it on the dockside and chillaxed to Chicago while getting a great view of the lake. And also some nice photos or clips that were accompanying that. So, Carmela, thank you very much. First off, about Chicago at the BMO Pavilion. Again, it's been a while since I've been at Summerfest. That BMO Pavilion is wonderful. And we did get there early, not just because I've been listening to Chicago's music all my life, but because we sensed the crowd might be a bit much. And we were able to get in and just had to be patient. Here's how you get to be patient. There's a food stand nearby, Saz's. Parker, you ever have Saz's in Milwaukee?
No, I haven't. I'm intrigued.
Oh, that was our favorite, barbecue place to go to. And now 30 years back when Sherry was going there for medical school, but they still get it done. But the thing that we had there, and I saw Dan Schaefer put up something on social media as well. They have a version of fried mozzarella that is insane because it appears, I don't know this for sure, but it seems like it's wrapped in like wonton wrapping paper or something around a mozzarella cheese stick.
Okay.
And then you deep fry it. So you got this kind of crispy crust around the cheese.
Yeah.
And the marinara that is really flavorful, has really good chunks of tomato in it. Insanely good. So we went for one, we split an order, and then we realized that wasn't enough. So we actually each ended up getting, I had to go back for more to get another order, and waited there. But, as far as John Oates, if I had never heard of Hall & Oates, if I'd never seen him, I probably would have said the same thing. Yes, this is a nice blues R&B vibe. Although I got to say, the first couple of songs, they struck me as, Parker, you ever recall, you might not be old enough, Tim Meadows, when he was on Saturday Night Live, played a character called the Ladies Man?
No, I don't
Very,
think so.
very smooth, always talking about the ladies. And the songs were a little bit in that
Outdated?
vibe. Not outdated, but it wasn't my particular vibe.
Sure.
So, Mr. Mathers letting us know that the wonton wrapped mozzarella sticks are the best. And Mathers goes on to say, "I love Saz's so much they catered our wedding."
Wow.
Mr. Mathers, I already thought you were a smart man to begin with, Eagle Scout and everything else. You had Saz's cater your wedding. How do you top that?
That's
so
pretty
good.
Wow.
That is perfect. So good on you. And Carmela, thank you very much for the comment. And I like that. Folks, I can't say that enough. If you don't agree with something of mine, put it out there. Say, hey, how about this? Think about it that way. And it doesn't have to be like some of the comments with the name calling and the
Pat,
insults.
no,
and
you're
everything.
wrong.
You're just got a liberal communist. No, just throw in a note and say, look, have you thought about this point of view? Which, by the way, 24 hours from right now, I think we're going to get into with Dan Schaefer and whether Governor Evers should run for a third term. In fact, I believe we have something on the text line about that. It was Lori in Hayward. Said, "Good morning. I would like to weigh in on the question, should Governor Evers run again? I definitely think he should run again. Why mess with a good thing? In this time of turmoil, it is not the time to try new things. Let's stick with Governor Evers." Lori in Hayward on our text line. And again, you can go to the Civic Media app and you can either use the text feature or the voice note feature and send us your message one way or another. Or go in the comment section like Alicia did on YouTube. And she says, we have a couple of places that do the wonton wrap on their mozzarella sticks here in the Fox Valley, and they are the best. So there you go. I don't know that I've ever had wonton wrapped mozzarella sticks before, but I'm going to have more now.
I've never had this, and I'm
darn
so
sure.
intrigued.
Yeah. Got a few things to talk to you about from a Courier Newsroom standpoint. Up North News is part of Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy news network. And interestingly, the last time I mentioned Melissa Ryan's newsletter, Control Alt Right Delete, her newsletter, most recent one, is how the internet is being improved and how it's going to be broken again. And so there's improvements on emerging platforms like Substack and Blue Sky, but then she notes AI slop is coming for us all. And I didn't realize that was like a term. I just thought she was making a comment on AI, that it's, sloppy or whatever. A couple of days later, I see Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, which would have been, I think, from a week ago last night. And the whole thing was about AI slop. That is an actual term for all of the AI stuff that's coming in at us now on our social media feeds and more.
Slop is it's a very internet term. If you watch any streamers on Twitch or anything, Pat, I know I'm really not talking your language right now.
You're really not. No.
The slop is definitely a common thing, and I'm actually kind of glad that has made its way to the regular discourse.
To the normies?
About AI.
The normies are talking about slop now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that the normies have got it, I'm excited to hear people understand that, there's some stuff that's just junk.
It used to be, again, old man alert, but, you'd pick up the phone, the wall phone, the landline, and it would be like some kind of a telemarketer, and you could endure it or you could hang up. And then we got we got junk mail in the mailbox. Well, now you get email, you get spam. This is the next iteration of it, is this stuff that you see in your social media feeds. And at first, I'm tempted to take the phone and show it to Sherry and go, look at this. And then, but you look and you go, no, there's just no way. I don't mean the obvious thing like a talking baby. I just mean that there's people that are playing with imagery or creating imagery that is going to cause such trouble. I mean, it's going to cause a war at some point when, India thinks Pakistan lobbed something their way or vice versa. It's ugly out there. And nobody knows. John Oliver, for all the times he comes up with solutions to things, he's like, there's no solution to offer you here. It's just, you just need to be warned. Do not necessarily believe everything that comes at you in terms of, AI imagery, animation. Well, heck, even audio. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for all you know, this show right now could have been completely designed by AI audio.
There
By
i-
AI audio. By AI audio. By AI. Anyway, there's
Wow. Okay.
a little glitch there. Anyway, you were saying.
There is I think it's a YouTube channel that started it, or maybe it was a TikTok account that started it. It's called Presidential Discord, and they take presidents' voices and they make them just have like weird conversations,
Oh, no.
and it can be kind of entertaining. I'm kind of a fan of that.
See, and I can see how it can be entertaining. And, you know, an off example of that would be Billy Joel last year released his first single in forever. And the video for it was AI created, in that it took Billy Joel through all this concert footage throughout decades. And in each case, he was singing in this new song. So it was 1970s Billy Joel singing it, 1980s Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
That's neat,
You know,
yeah.
at no point are you going to go, God, is that real? No, this you can enjoy. But unfortunately, we don't have the gatekeeper system that we used to have in the media. You know, anybody can put up anything now, and there's nobody babysitting the media to say, nope, you can't put that on. So,
Out of curiosity, do you know, did that part of the Big Beautiful Bill about
Yes,
states
that is
being
gone.
able,
The-
that's gone? Okay, good.
yeah, that part was taken out. There was going to be this ban on states regulating AI for a period of 10 years. And that's one of those where people actually did find out ahead of time
Yeah.
and said, no, that cannot stay. And so, no, that is out of the bill.
Good.
Fortunately.
'Cause
But
that
again,
even worried a lot
but
of,
now
like,
you're
harm.
depending not just on Congress, and it's funny enough when Congress tries to do this, but now state legislators, you know, if they want to try to regulate AI and appoint themselves as mini experts to try to figure it out, all I can say is good luck. Do a lot of homework. Have a lot of experts come testify on your proposals and on your bills before you do anything that you might regret.
It is okay to admit that you don't know everything, and you can bring in someone who does know more about something.
Yes. And even then, I mean, look, don't do nothing. If you have the ability to protect people in some way, shape, or form, then, you know, give it a go, but just be careful not to overdo it. I mean, there's only so much we can turn over to all the tech bros and the hackers and everything else. But speaking of tech bros,
Well, it went so well with Elon.
Elon Musk wants to start a third political party. I mean, his falling out with Donald Trump is complete now, to the point where he's starting what he calls the America Party. And I just think that that's going to be the third strike against him. I think Elon Musk lost a lot of fans his first go around through into politics, where, you know, maybe they admired Elon Musk, didn't know his politics. And now here he is with DOGE and doing things with our data. Goodness knows Elon Musk probably has all of our data now that's going to go into this America Party. Then strike two was trying to wade into the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, where, again, there might have been people that were not necessarily inclined to vote for Justice-elect Susan Crawford, but did not like the idea that a billionaire could come in and drop $1 million checks on people in an attempt to buy votes. That he said it was not an attempt to buy votes. It was bribery adjacent. You know, just sign this petition and you'll get money from me. And I'm glad that we talked to Jeff Mandel from Law Forward last week about that. But that was strike two on Elon Musk. And I think strike three is going to be this political party, simply because we've seen this before. We saw it with, you know, Ross Perot back in 1992, whatever it was. And we've seen it repeatedly since then, where somebody's going to start the third party. Well, the third party is simply going to be a faction of either Democrats or Republicans. And in this case, I know a friend of mine, Jeff Christensen, noted on Twitter, this will basically be GOP light. You know, there's not going to be anything progressive, liberal, or at best right of center. But quite more likely, it will be just another, you know, right-wing party that is friendlier to tech bros like Elon Musk. So Much like I'm warning you about AI slop, I'm warning you about political slop, partisan slop. What this country needs, quite frankly, is at least a third and a fourth party. One that is either center left and another that's center right, or one that goes full blown going, you know what, we are the Green Party, as it would be in other nations, and we are whatever, you want to call your far right party. Although, let's not kid ourselves, that's pretty much where the Republican Party is now. So there's probably room for a center right party, and there's probably room for a far left party. And perhaps the sooner we get to a fourth and a fifth party, where you actually have to have coalitions to form a government, you actually have to talk with each other and compromise and make deals, maybe then we'll have a much more functioning political system than we do right now. But in terms of Elon Musk just saying he's going to start the America Party, first off, way to be full of yourself, buddy, the America Party. I mean, it's a vanity project, so call it the Tesla Party, call it the X Party, or anything else. But just know that this is probably strike three for you, and maybe it's just time to do the rockets and the cars thing again. A local update is next for some of you. For the rest, a few final news and notes from Lake Wissota, right here live on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Holy Rothschild, everybody. Wait till you hear what's coming up on Civic Media for the rest of today. But first, let me remind you the Milwaukee Brewers are back home taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Coverage begins at 6:05 on Civic Media stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. Head over to the website to learn more. They play the Dodgers of Los Angeles tonight, tomorrow night, and then on Wednesday afternoon. Looking at the just released Civic Media lineup for today, normally you'd hear Jane Matnair here, but Jane Matnair has got the day off. Matt Rothschild is one of the guest hosts. Angela Lang from Block is a guest co-host. Angela Lang, among those who have not expressed a lot of happiness with the state budget and whether more could be done. So I will definitely be tuning in to hear what Angela and Matt Rothschild have to say about the state budget. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then follows the Todd Alba Show after Tom Hartman. Todd Alba from 2 to 4, and at 2:30, State Senator Kelda Roys will talk about the budget. And again, acknowledge that there is some progressive unhappiness about how it all went down. But wait, there's more. The Maggie Dawn Show follows from 4 to 6. Matt Rothschild is the guest co-host there as well. He's everywhere. And his guest at 4:30 will be Senate Democratic leader Dianne Hasselbein, where they will talk about her role in the negotiations with Republicans, the way the budget is different from the last one, the contribution of fair maps to reaching compromise, the urgency around passing the state budget ahead of the Trump big bloated boondoggle in order to protect funding for rural hospitals. So again, so much coming up here related to how the new state budget affects you and whether or not you believe that it is as good a deal as could be gotten at the state capitol. So again, coming up next, Matt Nair on Air will be Matt Rothschild and Angela Lang. On the Todd Alba Show, State Senator Kelda Roys joins Todd at 2:30. And on the Maggie Dawn Show, Matt Rothschild is co-hosting, guest hosting, and we'll have Senator Dianne Hasselbein coming in at 4:30. All of that ahead across the Civic Media Radio Network. And we, of course, will have Dan Schaefer here tomorrow from the recombobulation area, talking about the budget, talking about those disheartened daycare providers, those exasperated educators, those discordant Democrats, and whether Tony Evers should be 2-term Tony or go for 3-term Tony. On Wednesday, we will have our regular climate check with Melissa Baldoff. We'll have our weekly visits from Civic Media friends Earl Ingram in Milwaukee, Melissa Kay in Wisconsin Rapids, James Kelly in Chippewa Falls. We're hoping Melissa is joined with a feathered friend on her shoulder as we get a Pigeon Quest update. On Thursday, Congressman Mark Pocan. And also on Thursday, Sandra Goldschein from the Campaign for a Family-Friendly Economy talks about the negative impacts of the Trump bill on Wisconsin from a healthcare and a family standpoint. So a busy Thursday with Congressman Mark Pocan and Sandra Goldschein. And then later on Thursday, I will be joining Todd Alba for his show live from the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. That again happening on Thursday and Friday. We'll also have Sharita Booker Thursday talking about some events you might want to visit around Wisconsin for the weekend. We'll talk to Sean O'Malley about your money in the markets. We'll talk to, normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would talk to Chad Holmes. Chad, unfortunately, first, Chad went to Las Vegas. Chad, as you know, is a poker player and has wanted for the longest time to compete in the big tourney, the World Series of Poker. And I won't get into all the details, but Chad did put up a video from Vegas explaining the paperwork and technical troubles that prevented him from being able to enter through no fault of his own, but definitely between paperwork and financial institutions and entry fees, something went wrong. And so I believe at last update, there are other poker tournaments going on at the same time in Vegas, so I'm pretty sure he's still there and competing, but I don't believe it's in the big one. And it was a really tough video to have Chad tell the story and share the story that way, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say next week when he's back. But Parker, I will say for the umpteenth time, anybody who can do that, can go to a poker tournament, with the bluffing and the betting and the losing ungodly sums of money in chips, is they're a lot braver than me.
I mean, yeah, that's so upsetting I feel so bad. He wanted to do this. He was so excited.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. And you could tell the excitement was there. And so we really want to wish him well and whatever else he's doing in Vegas. And some of us had ideas going, look, the entry fee, it's a substantial entry fee. If you ended up, if they weren't using it for that, I mean, there's got to be a Wayne Newton meet and greet someplace. I mean, Wayne Newton probably doesn't charge $10,000 to have breakfast with him. There's something you could do.
Yeah.
Maybe Celine Dion will come sing to you for, in your hotel room for a certain amount of money. It's Vegas. Anything's possible. I haven't been there in a long time. You ever go?
I've never been. No, my mom was actually just there I suppose that was probably like a month or so ago. But
okay.
Yeah, I would like to go.
We've been, I want to say 4 times, maybe 3, maybe 4 times, and still have not spent a nickel gambling. Not at all. It's a place to go to see shows, to do people watching.
Yes.
There's plenty of other, activities that you can do there. The shows have been great. The shows that we've seen, I mean, just some great performers.
Yeah.
But in terms of gambling, no,
that's not my thing.
I don't, and I can't. And again, Chad, I wish you all the best, man. You got a stomach for that kind of risk that I just do not. For me, it is enough of a risk to turn on a microphone for 3 hours every morning and see what falls out. And so far, so good. And we'll do it again tomorrow with Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation area. In the meantime, I thank all of you for being here today. And again, hope you had a great, relaxing holiday weekend as we get back into the swing of things. I'm Pat Kreitlow, founding editor of Up North News, part of Courier, a pro-democracy news network. Have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., right here, back up north.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.